Hello and welcome once again. I have been recovering for the last 2 weeks from a shoulder injury, and I am feeling much better, and I was able to focus during it and write some new things and some new content for the channel. So I want to start with this, labels. So today we are talking about labels because labels can absolutely help in the beginning. They help give language to confusion. They help someone stop standing in front of the bathroom mirror at 6 in the morning with their hair doing whatever it wants, noticing all the gray hairs, all the wrinkles, and how the shirt all of a sudden isn't fitting you. It's fitting differently than it used to. And so we take a picture and we turn that phone slightly because somehow the angle removes the double chin and restores hope. And asking, what's wrong with me? And instead begin asking, what am I experiencing? That shift matters because for the first time, someone discovers I overthink, I people please, I avoid conflict, I get overwhelmed, I shut down. There is relief, not because anything changed, but because confusion finally got subtitles. And then that can feel life-changing for sure, absolutely. That's fucking great. The part is useful, but then something strange happens. The labels slowly stop becoming a flashlight and start becoming an identity. And for the first time, the labels explain the pattern. Then the pattern becomes the person. Now, instead of I developed anxious patterns, it becomes I'm anxious. Instead of I learned avoidance, it becomes I am avoidant. Instead of my nervous system became sensitive, it becomes this is just who I am. Do you see the difference? One says this is developed. The other says this is permanent. And permanence feels safe because humans love certainty, especially painful certainty. Because painful certainty still feels safer than uncertain growth. Labels were never supposed to become identity. Labels are just words, containers, descriptions, names that we give to collections of system behaviors, emotional responses, nervous system reactions, habits, experiences, and survival strategies. And that's all. Label is not your personality. It's not your soul. It's not your future. It's not your operating system. It's not who you are. It's simply language trying to describe what someone noticed. Think about it. If someone has a cough, they don't walk into a room and announce, hello, everyone, I am cough. Nope. They say, I have a cough. And there's a difference. Did you hear it? One describes experience, the other becomes identity. Now, let me give you an example that might make some of you uncomfortable. Diabetes. And before people sharpen their pitchforks, let me explain. I have relatives still who have diabetes. I've had friends who have diabetes. I have had friends of friends who have had diabetes. And what I noticed in these particular individuals is they were on insulin. They were on the pill, metformin. And they were still eating the same junk food that they were eating that got them there in the first place. And they hadn't done anything to change it. They just noticed their blood sugars up after they ate a donut, a piece of cake, a pie, massive amounts of pasta, and hey, the pill, the shot took care of it. Now, please understand, I'm not blaming anybody. Diabetes is real. Bodies are complicated. Genetics matter. And life happens. But listen to the language. People often say, I am diabetic, not I have diabetes. That's different. Small sentence, big consequences, because sometimes identity quietly changes our behavior. A doctor says, excuse me, your blood sugar is elevated. We need to make changes. Okay, well, here's some medication to help you. Here's some insulin. Here's support. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, the unconscious mind hears something different. Oh, good. Now I can keep doing what I was doing and I can eat the same food. I don't have to give it up because something to help fix that. No, that's not fixing. So now the conversation changes. Not to how do I support my body, but how much can I get away with? So the habits stay, the stress stays, the food remains the same, But now there is a shot and there's a pill. And now there's negotiation. Do you notice that? Do you feel me on that? I can still eat what I want. No. Reality is you shouldn't be eating what you still want. You have to change your diet. So there are those consequences. If you don't, you can still die of diabetes. Yeah? Okay, you following me? So the doctor just introduced support into your system, something to help you through the process of eating better, exercising, right? Because you do know that diabetes is reversible for some, for most. So it was never permission to continue. It was support for your body. And before people point fingers, just understand we all do this, not just with food. No. We do it with our emotions. We do it with relationships. We do it with labels. When we label, I am anxious, and that means no practice required. An avoidant translation means no uncomfortable conversations required. I have trauma. Translation, new experiences required. No new experiences required. Again, this isn't a judgment. This is an observation because humans do something fascinating. Once suffering gets a name, we stop asking, what do I practice? And start asking, how do I protect this identity? Then social media came in and poured gasoline on the whole damn thing. Labels became communities, and the communities became personalities. Personalities became status symbols. I'm an empath. I'm a controller. I'm a narcissist. Everybody introducing themselves like collectible trading cards. Hi, I'm emotionally unavailable with anxious tendencies, sensory sensitivity, overthinking specialization, and advanced conflict avoidance. Cool. But can you sit with discomfort for 3 minutes? And from my experience and experience with my clients, no. They have a hard time. Most come with difficulty sitting still for a minute. Their mind starts running and they think you have to sit in silence. That's not it at all. But that's for another video. Because healing usually ends up being less dramatic than we hoped. You realize my reactions make sense, but they are not me. My symptoms are real, and they are not me. My patterns protected me, but they are not me. Who am I? But what have I practiced? Because that question changes everything. You are not born pleasing people. You are practiced at it. You are not born overthinking. You practice prediction. You were not born emotionally unavailable. You practice protection. You were not born performing. You practice performance. So, prediction, protection, and performance. And what humans practice, humans can retrain. You understand this, right? That means you have to leave your comfort zone of doing very little to nothing. So, slowly, repeatedly, and imperfectly is how it's going to begin until you get it right. And this is why I say awareness is not completion. Awareness is the beginning. Otherwise, we become expert at explaining our lives without ever practicing a different tone. Labels can help you find the trail. But you don't build your house on trail markers. They are not signs. You are the traveler. And maybe this is the part worth remembering. Knowing is not transformation. Knowing your attachment style is not transformation. Knowing your diagnosis is not transformation. Knowing your childhood story, again, is not transformation. Knowing why you react is not the same as changing how you respond. Because understanding something does not automatically install something. You can read a book, you can watch every video, listen to every podcast, and you can collect labels like merit badges and still find yourself standing in the same emotional parking lot 10 years later, saying, at least now I understand why I'm here. And you might laugh at that, you might think ridiculous, but I have had clients come to me with 15 years seeing a therapist, 25 years of thinking they were awake and they were aware of what was going on, but they still maintain the same patterns and wondering why they have sadness and anger issues still. And you can say, well, my parents and this and my boss, and you can blame it all on these other things. And that's cool. But you have to understand, if you haven't practiced anything different, you are practicing being the victim of everybody who's done something wrong to you. So you understand that awareness is just the invitation. And you have to practice movement, because what you repeat becomes familiar. And what becomes familiar begins to feel safe. What feels safe becomes automatic. And what becomes automatic eventually starts becoming who. I will see you next time.